How to save and replant forced seasonal bulbs. Seasonal flowering bulbs like crocuses, daffodils, hyacinths and tulips are often forced or tricked into blooming indoors during the winter months to brighten up the home. This forcing takes a lot out of a bulb, though, and they rarely flower again after being replanted. It takes these bulbs 2 to 3 years after being replanted in the garden to build up enough reserves to bloom. Because of this, it is commonly recommended that these bulbs be thrown away. There are a few things that can be done, though, to help the bulbs recover and bloom again if a gardener is determined to try. Method 1: Storing the bulbs. 1. Know which plants can potentially be saved. Hyacinths, crocuses, daffodils, snowdrops and scillas that are grown in soil or soil-like mediums can usually be replanted for later use in the garden. Keep in mind though that sometimes even the best efforts can't save spent plants. However, Amaryllises are widely known for their ability to flower on a yearly basis. 2. Accept the fact that certain bulbs cannot be reused. You will not be able to replant certain forced seasonal bulbs, such as the following. Plants that are grown in water should be thrown out because the process saps their strength and they are unlikely to bloom again. Tulips are less likely than any other plant to return after being forced, so they should be thrown out. Gardeners in extremely cold areas may also have difficulty getting certain tropical daffodil species to re-bloom. 3. Trim off the flowering stalks. Once the blossoms have died, gardeners can trim off the flowering stalks, but they should leave the greenery alone if they want their seasonal bulbs to flower in the following year. The leaves are essential for helping the plants obtain the nutrients that they will need to survive dormancy and return in the spring. On Amaryllises, the cut flower stalk may emit a large amount of sap after being cut, but this is perfectly normal and no cause for alarm. 4. Place the plant in a cool but sunny windowsill. Gardeners will need to place the pot with the green foliage on a cool, about 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 15.5 to 18.3 degrees Celsius, sunny windowsill so it can more easily store up nutrients for later use. Applying 5-10-5 fertilizer to the bulb plants every 2 weeks to help the plant store the nutrients it will need for the winter. 5. Dig up the bulbs once the plant goes dormant. After the leaves begin to turn brown, the bulbs no longer need water or fertilizer because they have entered dormancy. Their soil should be allowed to dry out completely so that rot doesn't take hold. At this point, the leaves can be trimmed off if any remain. The plant can be stored in its container or the bulb can be dug up for storage purposes. 6. Follow a separate process for Amaryllises. Amaryllises are the exception to the aforementioned scenario. They should be given ample sunlight and kept watered for the entire winter. They are often placed outside for the warmer months of the year. Amaryllises can either enter a forced dormancy around August for Christmas blooms or be left outdoors until the late autumn months when temperatures begin to drop. At such times, they should be allowed to dry out. They will store best at temperatures of around 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 12.7 degrees Celsius, either in their pots or in the ground. After about 2 months in storage, these plants will send up shoots. When this occurs, they can be shifted to a warmer spot indoors, about 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, for winter blooms. 7. Allow the bulbs to dry out, then store them in a cool, dry place. All other bulbs should be allowed to dry out. Take the time to gently dust the dirt off of the bulbs. Once cleaned, these dormant plants can be kept in paper bags in a cool, dry place. These sacks can also be filled with dry sand, vermiculite, or sawdust to prevent the bulbs from drying out. Gardeners will also need to label their bulbs, because otherwise they may get their plants mixed up while they're in storage. Method 2: Replanting the bulbs. 1. Replant the bulbs outdoors after the last hard frost. The bulbs can be planted outdoors in the garden as soon as the soil thaws, if the leaves have died. If the bulbs were forced late enough in the season that they still have green leaves in the spring, plant them outdoors right away after the last expected hard frost. Plant the bulbs at a depth equal to 3 to 4 times the bulb's width. 2. Select a sunny, well-drained spot for replanting. When gardeners go to replant the seasonal bulbs, they should select a sunny, well-drained spot. They may also want to add some fertilizer to the soil to encourage the plants to bloom and then do the same in the fall of the year for the same reasons. 3. Be aware that the bulbs may not flower in the first year. Gardeners should be aware that forced bulb plants may not flower the year after they are replanted. These bulbs could need some time to recover from this process because, when gardeners force the blooms, doing so uses up a great deal of energy. Plants tend to need about 2 years to recover completely from being forced. Again, Amaryllises are the exception. If given adequate care, these plants will get larger with each passing year. Older specimens are known to produce many large flowers on an annual basis. Warnings. If the bulbs become soft or develop a disease during storage, they should be thrown away.